AM 590, KXSP Omaha's ESPN Radio. It's time for the Metro's only racing talk show. The Front Stretch, presented by Joe's Karting in Council Bluffs. Now, here's Dan Taylor and Buddy Ray.
This is Chuck Spicer, Vice President at Iowa Speedway, and you're listening to The Front Stretch with Dan and Buddy.
Good morning, race fans, and welcome to The Front Stretch. We have just a few shows left.
I was going to say, what, 3?
Man, it's getting down. Well, we got today, then next week, and then we're going to do a wrap-up of the 2013 season on November 24th.
So 3
and then,
shows.
Yep, and then it looks like we're right there, really close to having the deal done with the off-season show. Just got a few things to button up, and we're working on a list for Legends of Tomorrow. I've sent it out to a few people. Bud, you've got it. You're kind of adding in your names, who you want to put on there.
I'm not going to mention names, but there's some. I tell you what, a lot of these names I don't really know because these guys were.
Yeah, you're preaching to the choir on that one, buddy.
Yeah. So when you were like, well, who are these guys? And so I had to Google them. I've heard of them. I know they're good, but I didn't realize just how good they were. But I'm not gonna do any spoilers and tell you the name.
And do me a favor, because we had a lot of conversations about this, and I think we had something really good with the Silver Dollar Nationals meet and greet, where let's talk to the fans. Let's find out who the fans want to talk to, and so we're gonna do the same thing. Who is a legendary driver in your mind? Doesn't necessarily have to be retired yet. Last year we did Kyle Burke. Maybe it was a little too soon to do Kyle Burke, but I think the guy's well on his way to being a legend, so I'm fine with Kyle Burke.
Oh, yeah.
So send us a name. Put it up on the Facebook page. Who do you want to hear as a part of the Legends of the Dirt series?
Think about this. We have our list, folks, for the folks out there listening. Dan and I, and some of the other people that are important behind the scenes as we're trying to put this together, we have a list of names. But who we think is a legend or might be a legend, you may not think.
Exactly. Yeah.
And so give us your opinion. So I will tell you right now, to make room for a legend or your legend, I will take and remove my name from the list.
That's very gracious of you. Hey, should we, like last year we did the Dirt Track Roundtable. Do you want to tease that a little bit? Do you want to talk about what we're kind of kicking around? Because I think that's a solid idea. I think that's locked in. What do you think?
I'm not opposed to it.
We'll just, I tell you what, there's been a big draw to have a conversation with lots of drivers from the Sunset Speedway. I was never fortunate enough to be able to go and watch the track, watch them race, but there's a lot of drivers, a lot of big-time drivers that race that track. So what we kind of want to do is, instead of a Dirt Track Roundtable where we get 3 or 4 legendary drivers and we talk about their history, what we want to do is take a walk down Sunset Lane, where we will bring in promoter Craig Kelly if we can get him into the studio, and we're going to try to do it down at Quaker Steak and Lube again if Chris is willing to let us come down there. I know we still have to write apology letters for what we did last time we were down there with the show, but that's hopefully water under the bridge. But that's kind of the things we're working on for the off season. So we hope you join us, and we're working hard to get everything arranged, and we should have everything ready to be announced by next Sunday's show. But last Sunday's show was the pre-show to the Racing with the Stars, and I talked about it on Facebook. In fact, a lot of people who talked about it on Facebook.
They're still talking about it on Facebook.
Apparently, 6th year is the charm. You guys got it right last Sunday. That was fantastic. That was awesome.
Yeah, we ran. It's kind of misconceiving because in 2012, which was the 5th annual Racing with the Stars, we ran a total of 47 races, and within that 47 races, we sold 207 races. Mm-hmm. To explain that,
well, it's because there's 5 or 6 drivers per race.
Actually, 9 or 10 per race.
Yeah.
So we sold 207 races. That was the record, which crushed the previous year, which was record. In that year, 2011, we sold 157 races.
Wow.
So we went from 157 races sold to 207 races sold to this last Sunday. We're still not done adding up the money raised, which is actually, knock on wood, a good thing. Sold 264 races. We didn't run 47 races. We ran 44 races.
Well, that's still good.
Oh, yeah, it was really good. The one thing I really want to congratulate everybody on, and we've noticed this.
You're going to congratulate me on my sub 16? That's really nice of you. I appreciate that. I worked really hard.
Where in the
last
world
year.
did you see a sub 16?
I showed you.
I was looking at sub 19. You need to turn that sheet upside down because... Yeah.
No, you can't take that from me. It's official. I ran a sub 16. I was proud of that. I ran a 15.74, and it wasn't just one fluke lap. I ran 15s for several laps.
I will give you credit. The slowest celebrity we had this year was
Ryan McPike.
It was Ryan McPike with an 18.039, I believe.
He comes out the first time. I got there just as he finished his race, and I said, "What'd you think?" And he goes, "Oh my God." He goes, "I'm just in the way in there. I'm so in the way out there. Oh my God, I can't go again. I can't." And then about 5 minutes later, after he kind of calmed down, he goes, "When am I going again? When can I go?" It's the same thing that happens every time. Like, you're so terrified while you're racing, but then once you get off the cart and you kind of calm down a little bit, you're like, "God, that was awesome." Yeah,
the station here, KMTV3, he was on, he's our...
the weather guy.
The weather guy in the early morning, and he goes... It was a lot like you hear the football teams, when they show up and you see the football team walking off the bus and you get that intimidation. He goes, I was intimidated.
Yeah.
He's like, these are professional racers. But I tell you what was really cool about the crowd. We raised a record amount of money this year. You won the helmet.
Dang straight I did.
You dang straight. You won the helmet. That went for $300, so thank you for that, Dan. The Casey Mears late model skin sold.
Oh, Casey Mears.
Yeah, not Clint Boyer. The Casey Mears late model skin. It went. We didn't have as many prizes on the raffle table, but it brought more money.
Here's what we need. We need to do. I mean, now that you and I are touring the NASCAR circuits, we need to get a little bit more behind getting stuff autographed. Because we can talk with guys like Chuck Spicer, who we heard at the beginning of the show, who can set it up ahead of time so that pole sitters, top 5, top 10 autograph a helmet. So we've got multiple helmets on hand.
How much do you think that would have gone for from Cup?
Well, if I'm betting on,
are you going to do everything you can to take that home?
I've only got so much money. which, by the way, thank you to Bank of America.
Well, I tell you what, the coolest thing, the helmet did not bring the most money.
Really?
No. When you walked into the Racing with the Stars, there was that 10-foot long banner that had all of the names and the pictures of the cars.
Where was mine, by the way?
Well, yeah, good point.
Yeah. I noticed that. Yeah, Ryan McPike was up there. Nicole Peterson was up there. Josh Most was up there, and he wasn't even there. No, Dan Taylor.
So a lady, we raffled it off for $1 a ticket or 6 tickets for $5.
Yep.
We raffled it off that way, and this lady won it. It was all autographed. Well, it was right after the feature. Nobody had really even started leaving yet after the feature. I mean, you took off a little earlier. You had some stuff that you needed to do.
Yeah, I had to go take care of my nieces.
Yeah, so this lady walks back, and she was a grandma, and she goes, "You know what? I just don't feel right taking this." I'm like, "Well, ma'am, you won it." She goes, "I tell you what." She goes, true story, her 3-year-old has had 13 major operations at the Omaha Children's Hospital, so she was really touched by what we were doing there. She goes, "This is my banner, right?" I go, "Well, yes, ma'am." She goes, "I want to donate this back to the drive with the understanding that while I'm standing here, we're going to auction the banner off."
Wow.
And I was like, okay. So everybody gave her kind of a standing ovation, and I go, "Well, it's your banner. What do you want to start the bidding off of?" And she goes, "Oh, I don't know. How's $100? She didn't even no sooner than get that out of her mouth, and the guy goes, 110. And then all of a sudden is a bidding war between Amy Holtgrew's dad and Clint Llewellyn.
Oh.
And so it looked like it was just going back and forth. And you could hear a pin drop, and it was going back and forth. It sold for $305.
Oh, wow. No, that's good. So between me and that, you raised $605. You had a couple other things. A picture
just
of
that right there
of Richard Petty, a nice bath and beauty kind of basket for the wives of the drivers and fans. So a great event. You guys did a fantastic job. It
was funny because when we were bidding the banner, have you ever seen the auction show on the Discovery Channel? The guy goes, "You bought it," when they auction Studio 63 auction gallery.
Yeah.
So I've always wanted to say that because I love that line. "You bought it." So we're sitting there going back and forth, and Amy Holtgrew's dad goes, 305. Everybody's just looking at Clint Llewellyn, and I can only imagine the pressure on his shoulders. I go, 310, son. Come on, 310. Good cause, 310. It's only $5 more. Come on, 310.
You weren't like the guy from Fast and Loud where it's that one guy that always stands next to Richard when he's at the auction, and he's, screaming in his face, "You want it, it's going to be yours, but you're going to have it," and just pressuring him
so
into it.
I was trying to pressure him a little bit, but I didn't want to make him feel like a donkey's rear.
Yeah.
And so he's like, "No, I can't go 310. So I looked at the guy and I go, "I've always wanted to say this." I go, "But you got it." And he got a standing ovation, and it was a fun time. But, yeah, a lot of people, very, very few complaints. The racing, when you were there, clean racing.
It was, and listen, I think it was because Josh Most was several states away. I'm just kidding.
Yeah, several states away, but it was clean racing. Everybody had fun. The walking tacos were a huge success.
Oh, yeah, those were fantastic. I got to kind of step up on a soapbox real quick, if you don't mind. I'm not going to say some names, but an incident happened at the Racing with the Stars. And I just got to say, you got to be a special kind of piece of junk of a person to come to a charity auction and rob somebody.
Yeah.
It takes a special kind of. You're going to a special place in hell for what you do.
What?
That's ridiculous.
You know what? I'm going to take this one step farther. I'm going to tell you what happened. The reason why I do this is because the perpetrators are still on the loose, and we're actually looking to find them.
Well, it's not going to be hard because they're clearly morons. They went to Walmart, they went to Texas Roadhouse, and they did some online shopping. So security cameras are going to get them.
They won't release the security footage.
Really?
No.
Oh, well, that's
Josh
great.
Mose had his truck in the parking lot at the movie theaters, not in the Joe's parking lot, and unfortunately a window was smashed in, and wallets and credit cards and cell phones were stolen, and they have been used, but this was on Sunday, a little after 1 o'clock, so if anybody out there listening, I'll make it right by you if you can help us find the perpetrators. Lance Mose, Josh's dad, had 20 or 22 credit cards in his wallet. Yeah. And so you can only imagine the fear running through that guy's mind. But they have his wallet, his ID, his credit cards, his cell phone. They've got his whole life in his hands. And it's really nonsense that a good function like that was the only black eye on it, and all of us at Joe's Karting, we feel bad for Josh and Lance. They're not mad at us. There's nothing we did wrong, and they understood that. But we're trying to cooperate with all the authorities and everybody involved. But they were at Lone Star. They bought gift cards at Lone Star. They were at Walmart. I want to say something like 5 or 6 times at Walmart, buying anywhere from $100 to $300 at a time. If anybody knows of anybody suspicious, come see me at joeskarting.com. You'll remain anonymous, but we'll make it right by you. It's just ridiculous that you had to taint a nice day like that. Everyone was having a great time, and it just kind of brought things down. Well, you know what made us feel better about the whole deal? Lance's number one concern was it was somebody that was actually racing at the charity race. That tells you what kind of character Lance is. Yeah. Lance and Josh are probably the two most misunderstood guys in racing. They got a heart of gold. They're the nicest guys, but Lance goes, I'm not happy that it happened, but I feel a lot better knowing it wasn't somebody inside Joe's at the charity function using the credit cards, or it was nobody that was at Joe's for the charity race. It was somebody else. But you email me at buddyj@joeskarting.com, and I do have a description of the perpetrators, or who we believe are the perpetrators. They caught them buying gift cards at Lone Star Steakhouse. But if you want to work with me, I'll make it right by you. We're going to be back in turn 2. We're going to talk a little bit of NASCAR news and notes from Texas. We'll talk a little bit of news from the week that has been so far in the NASCAR world, what the Cup standings are like, and so much more. Real quick, Bud, Racing with the Stars 2014. Is it a go, or are you going to try to modify it into something bigger? 2014 is a go. Okay. Now that the 2013 is done, I'll tell you what the new format's going to be after the commercial break. You guys need rappers, don't you? You're talking about... And not like... Wicka, wicka, wicka. I'm talking like rap... I'm not thinking wicka, wicka, wicka. No, okay. Zip, 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 zip. Let's cover that after the commercial break. All right, we'll be right back here on the front stretch.
In 1999, Wade Cross decided he was tired of overpaying for shocks, so he created FX Shocks. Now FX suspension customers reach across the United States with countless wins and championships, including national champion in 3 major IMCA classes, plus Super Nationals champions in all 4 of the Saturday night's main events. Get your FX Shocks today. One-on-one consultation is waiting for you at 308 308-383-9609. 308-383.
This is Andrew from Kaziski Auto Parts. Kaziski Auto Parts is an insurance-quality used parts supplier that can match your foreign or domestic car or truck needs. If you have a damaged or broke-down car or truck, we guarantee a clean and quality part in next-day fashion. Kaziski Auto Parts, your neighborhood premium recycled parts supplier. Call any Kaziski Auto Parts salesman today by dialing 402-731-4592 or visit us at 5040 I Street in Omaha. Kaziski Auto Parts, our quality used parts will match your car or truck's needs.
We're working the High Line into Turn 2 on the front stretch, presented by Joe's Karting. Online at joeskarting.com.
Headed into Turn 2 on the front stretch, brought to you by Shamrock Limousine. Online at shamrocklimosite.com. Give Jim and everybody a call over at Shamrock Limousine. A call today for your holiday events. How cool would it be to walk up to roll up to Thanksgiving dinner in a limo? You can feast, you can drink, and then you can ride home in a limo. It's going to cost you a pretty penny.
That
but
almost sounds like something that would be on that new Facebook page, only in Council Bluffs.
You know, I was thinking about it today as we were coming in to record this show. I really wish, while we were riding in that limo and just looking like dorks, we would have pulled up next to somebody, rolled the window down, and asked if they had any Grey Poupon.
Excuse me, sir, you have any Grey Poupon?
How funny would that? I mean, it probably wouldn't have been very funny, but I'd have had a laugh, which I don't know if you've noticed in life. I really only care about if I entertain myself.
Shoot, they don't even need Grey Poupon. I mean, I just need the store brand no-frill stuff.
Yeah. Do you want to talk Texas Motor Speedway?
Yeah, we can talk Texas Motor Speedway.
Listen, this was one of those races that people are gonna complain about because nobody had anything for Jimmy. Not even close. I mean, he was 0.3 to 0.4 faster than everyone else.
People want to complain, but we talked about this about a month and a half ago. There was about I want to say about a 6 to 9 race slump there where Jimmy Johnson just didn't look like the traditional Jimmy Johnson, but he was
stinking it up.
He was stinking it up, but where was he at in the points? He was right up there.
Well, because he'd built up that 70-point lead walking into, and I can't even remember where, but holy cow! Yeah, it was just thank God for the chase. But
it was either you or somebody else. Somebody had mentioned, well, maybe he's gonna look like he's not running. Maybe he's doing some R&D. Maybe they're doing some testing.
He very well could have been testing.
Exactly. When you've got a 70-point lead, imagine going into Crawford County Speedway on a Friday night or ID Speedway on a Friday night, and you got a 70-point lead. You're still going to want to run hard, but you've built yourself a cushion. We only get 40 points for a win, so that's almost 2 nights worth of racing. So you can kind of test a little bit if you want. You know, you still got to run good.
Which is a very, very risky thing to do. Look at Regan Smith. I'm not saying he was testing, but going into Road America, he had a 50 or a 60-point lead in the Nationwide Series, and that's gone. And he's not even really contending for the championship at this point because he has lost so many
you're
points.
Right. It's a risky thing, but I believe it was you, Dan, that talked, well, maybe he's doing some testing. Maybe he's trying some new things out. But then you also said when it comes chase time and it's time to go, who rises to the top somehow every time? Jimmy Johnson.
And nobody was catching him at Texas.
But I tell you what, I don't think Jimmy Johnson is the news story. Jimmy Johnson is not the news story of the chase. Right now, in my mind, the news story within the chase is Matt Kenseth.
How so?
New organization, first year out, running for a championship with said new organization.
Okay.
That's what I'm looking for. Are there people rooting for Jimmy? Absolutely. I think there's more people rooting for Matt Kenseth.
Yeah.
Now, if Matt Kenseth, first year out, JGR, first year out, and he's running 6th or 7th, people would be like, okay, that's fair. New year, first year with the new organization, 6th or 7th year in the chase. But who'd have thought first year out within the chase with the new organization, he's running, 7 points behind Jimmy Johnson. I think there's a lot of people silently, whether they want to admit it or not, are really rooting for Matt Kenseth to beat Jimmy Johnson. Everybody knows Jimmy Johnson's a championship contender. Everybody knows Kenseth's a championship contender. But you've talked about it a long time. People get tired of the same guy winning races or championships over and over and over.
And I've said it before, and I'll continue to say it. 20 years from now, we're going to be complaining about how the drivers today they don't drive hard, they don't have the talent just think, 20 years from now, we're going to be sitting here, hopefully still doing the show, and we're going to be talking about that battle between Jimmy Johnson and Matt Kenseth. And we're going to be talking about last year's battle between Brad Keselowski and Jimmy Johnson. And all I'm trying to say in this thing is, once again, I'm trying to say it is just appreciate what we have now. look past the fact that it wasn't the greatest race last week and just understand that he was 6-7 miles an hour faster than everyone else. And it's not because he has a cheated up engine or a cheated up chassis or anything like that. It went back to Concord, North Carolina, and it got torn apart by NASCAR R&D, and they went through that thing with a fine-tooth comb. If they were going to find anything, they'd find it then. And they found nothing because he is just that good. That's the you could back me up on this. That's the kind of run you can get along a backstretch when you come off of turn 2 earlier, when you've got your car hooked up and you can get into the throttle sooner. That's going to get you 6-7 miles an hour faster than everyone else along the backstretch. Am I right?
Well, it's carrying the corner speed through the corners is what's going to win you the races. It's not coming off the corner. It's maintaining that corner speed. When you can maintain that corner speed, you see this all the time on Friday nights. I tell you, Dan, up there in the booth here about a year ago, watch the guys on the high line. When they're on the high line and they can maintain that corner speed, they come off the high line that much faster.
Oh, they've got such a run.
They got such a run. Well,
I think that's what makes Jack Dover so dang good. He can hook his car up on that top side and get so much grip.
Another guy in the dirt world, Jesse Saubing.
Yeah.
Same thing. Chris Abelson, same thing.
Josh Mose makes his living up there.
Rolling around in the dirt.
These guys, it's just that you got to sit back and appreciate Jimmy Johnson. I truly do hope that he breaks the record for most championships.
I tell you what,
I truly do hope that in his career he gets 8 or 9.
He's going to be an 8 or 9, but I think you're seeing Matt Kenseth emerge as another driver that could quite possibly have 5 or 6.
And we talked, there's obviously he won the 5 straight. I don't think Jimmy Johnson's talent level has dropped any since he won that 5 straight.
I think everybody else has come up.
Exactly. Look at Matt Kenseth, Kevin Harvick, Kyle Busch, even Dale Jr., Jeff Gordon. These guys have had to step their game up. When a guy like Jimmy Johnson, when a guy like Richard Petty, or Dale Sr., or Bobby Allison, or Cale Yarborough, or Fireball Roberts comes into the sport, everyone else has to pick up their game to meet them, and it just makes it better for us.
And sometimes the drivers, when they pick up their game, they don't even know they've picked up their game, because in racing, you're only as good as your competition. So therefore, when they see Jimmy Johnson, Tony Stewart in an interview a long time ago said he was just getting tired of getting his butt waxed by Jimmy Johnson. Well, what'd that make Tony Stewart do? Up his game.
Yeah.
And he got a championship. But I tell you what's exciting about today's NASCAR. A lot of people want to talk crap about it, and I see some points there. But right now, prior to the chase format, to me, you'd have to go back to your Darrell Waltrip, Dale Earnhardt senior days to see the battles. Within the last 5 or 6 years, if you told me, Bud, who were some of the biggest battles in NASCAR, I'm not even looking at the points championship, to be honest with you. In some ways I am. This year, it's Matt Kenseth, Jimmy Johnson. Mm-hmm. This is exciting to watch. A few years ago, it was Tony Stewart, Carl Edwards. That was, to me, one of the most, if not the most exciting points battle to ever watch.
Oh, yeah.
I don't think that will ever be broken.
And what made it even better was the mind games that Stewart was playing on Edwards.
Yeah.
That's what made it even better.
Another battle. You had the infamous Carl Edwards, Brad Keselowski. You had the Brad Keselowski, Kyle Busch incident.
And let's not forget, last year's chase battle was epic. It came down to a hung lug nut on the final set, second to last green's flag stops at Homestead for Keselowski to finally secure it. And to be honest with you, if Johnson would have been able to get his car corrected and go, I think we'd be talking about Johnson won that championship, because Keselowski just didn't have a car that night.
So right now, while everybody's focusing, don't worry about Jimmy Johnson. We all know he's going to win another 1 or 2 championships. That's a gimme.
It's only a 7-point difference.
It's only a 7-point difference, but whether it be this year, 2014, we can both agree that we can see 1 or 2 championships more in his future.
Yeah.
The talent's there. Look at what else is going on in NASCAR. I don't even really follow Jimmy Johnson now. I'm more looking at the drama within the drivers, within the chase, and even sometimes look at the Brad the Casey Kane and
Kyle Busch
incident.
Yep.
Or the Denny Hamlin and
Greg Biffle and Jimmy Johnson last week, and there was kind of a little bit of a payback this week. Just a little bit of a message sent.
That to me, I look at a lot of that. I'm rooting for Kenseth. Right now, Kenseth is my guy. I want him to win. Mm-hmm. If Johnson wins, congrats to him, but I'm tired of seeing him win championships.
I think it's a great story if Johnson wins.
You think it's
I'm sorry, Kenseth.
Yeah.
Kenseth. Let's talk about your top 10 from Texas Motor Speedway for the AAA 400. AAA Texas 500 at Texas Motor Speedway. Clint Boyer comes home with a top 10 finish. Ryan Newman, 9th. So if you were paying attention to the Facebook page and paying attention to Welt Life, you could have got a free Bloomin' Onion on Monday at Outback. You're running out of time. I don't know if Outback is going to go with Ryan Newman to RCR. Maybe he'll stay with Kevin Harvick and you'll be able to get a Bloomin' Onion then, but time's running out for that. Kevin Harvick came home 8th, Denny Hamlin 7th. How about that? Denny Hamlin finally getting himself a good top 10 finish. Brad Keselowski 5th, Casey Kane peeks into the top 5. Again, another driver that just seems to be having issues all year long. He's just had these fluke issues and just had some real struggles, but got himself a top 5 finish. Matt Kenseth comes home 4th. Joey Logano, great run for Joey. Stayed up there all day long, just could not get to Johnson. And Dale Earnhardt Jr. came home 2nd, and Jimmy Johnson gets the win. Full 5 bonus points, 48 points for the 48 team. Led 10 times for 255 laps. Nobody even came close to that. Nobody even led over 50 after him. Not even close. Keselowski led for 30, but that was about it. And Jeff Gordon, I was silently rooting for Jeff Gordon after his win at Martinsville. I really wanted him to come into Texas and put on a good show. I wanted him to go 4 in a row just win every race for the end of the year and go out on top, because I had the strong feeling that if he'd have won the championship this year, he may have stepped away and said, I'm going out on top. But this is just me speculating with really no information.
Now, this is me speculating. I actually think he might be stepping away after this year.
You think so?
I think so.
I don't know what his contract is like in Hendrick. I don't know how many years he's got left.
If he steps away, the question would be, and some people are going to be like, oh, thank God he's gone, or, well, he was never good enough. Well, what more does he have to prove? He doesn't got to prove nothing to me. He's a legend. He's a Hall of Famer.
Here's the thing, though. You're already hearing it. You're hearing, you remember them epic battles between Gordon and Earnhardt, and, oh, man, he was so great when he came in. Everyone hated him when he came in. They didn't appreciate what they were seeing. He didn't talk
Absolutely.
like Earnhardt and Petty and Yarborough, and so they didn't want him around. And now
he said you, they said y'all.
Yeah. Hey, guess who didn't finish in the top 10?
My driver.
Yep, Austin Dillon.
Where'd he finish?
He finished 22nd.
Go figure.
So, just one of these days, you can go ahead and pay me up my Texas cheeseburger melt at Quaker Steak and Lube. You know what? Let's do it the 17th.
The top 21 drivers all cheated.
Oh, yeah. Listen to this guy. Kyle Larson, though, had himself a 23rd place finish. Finally didn't blow an engine in a Cup Series. So that was great for Kyle. Getting some experience up in the Cup Series before he takes over for Juan Pablo Montoya, who apparently is in a little bit of hot water with the IRS. They say that old JPM owes him $2.7 million in extra taxes and penalties that were assessed on a $9.5 million tax income from 07 to 08. So he owes him a little bit of cash.
Wow.
Yeah. Your points championship after leaving Texas Motor Speedway, Jimmy Johnson breaks the tie, pulls ahead by 7. Now, here's the interesting thing to keep in mind. Johnson has 6 wins. Kenseth has 7 wins. So if it comes down to a tiebreaker, Kenseth still has the tiebreaker between the two, but there's 2 races left to go. Kevin Harvick, 40 points out. Can we draw a line right there that it's between, realistically, it's between Johnson and Kenseth. Unless these two get together, the rest of the guys aren't going to be able to get into it. Kyle Busch, 52 points back. Earnhardt, 62. Gordon falls 69 points back. He was in third. He falls to 6th. Clint Boyer, also 69 points back. Biffle, Logano, Busch, Edwards, Newman, and Kane round out your championship standings. And Brad Keselowski's the first one, is leading the rest outside of the Chase contenders. So that's your results from Texas Motor Speedway. Turn 3, we're going to come back and dive a little bit more into some news and notes and talk a little bit of dirt track. We'll be back on the front stretch.
Football means it's time for Quaker Steak and Lube. Don't miss your favorite college or pro team with the area's best wings, ribs, burgers, and more. During the games, get a lube tube and a bucket, just $24.95. $10 lube tube, $9 domestic bucket, or a 24-pack of boneless wings, just $12.99. Kick off your game day with a $4 Bloody Mary or margarita. Football is here, and your season headquarters is once again Quaker Steak and Lube. NASCAR fans, don't forget every race all the way up to the end of the chase is at your local racing headquarters, Quaker Steak and Lube, next to the Mid-America Center, Council Bluffs.
Are you ready for fast-paced, adrenaline-pumping, wheel-to-wheel racing right here in the Metro? Get to Joe's Karting in Council Bluffs and see what it's like to race real go-karts. Joe's Karting knows it's no fun to race go-karts at 10 miles per hour, so they ripped the governors out, and now the only restriction is how good you are at racing. It's full-throttle, white-knuckle racing every day of the week. Head over to joeskarting.com for hours, prices, and specials, or give Buddy a call today and set up your group races at 712-256-5278.
Time to grab another tear-off and make your move. We're headed into Turn 3 on the front stretch, presented by Joe's Karting.
Welcome back to the front stretch. Halfway done with the show. We got just 2 more turns till we wrap this baby up, and Texas Motor Speedway is on the big screens at Quaker Steak and Lube in Council Bluffs, where Bud owes me a Texas cheeseburger melt.
You're never going to let me live that down.
Nope. You still owe me from like 4 other bets, but this Texas cheeseburger melt, it's going in my belly.
Well, the nice thing, the 4 other bets, I can always go to the McDonald's dollar menu. I mean, I know that menu really well.
I didn't stipulate those rules well enough, and I'm gonna get I'm gonna get the fuzzy end of that lollipop, as they say. Hey, I've heard an interesting rumor, and feel free to dodge the question like you always do when I come up with rumors about you.
What question?
Are you going to be a promoter
of
dirt track racing? I've heard you tied with a couple of dirt tracks, and I know that you're crazy. But I didn't think you were that crazy to take it. I mean, you see what Roger Hayden, Joe Koziski, Steve Koziski, any promoter that I can't think of the name of goes through on a weekly basis. Are you really thinking about this?
Believe it or not, yeah. I actually, I've never shied away from the fact. These guys, the Joe Koziskis, the Roger Haydens, the guys up at Crawford County Speedway, Toby Cruz, they're some legendary promoters. Joe Koziski's on top of his game. Roger Hayden's on top of these games. And if you've ever noticed me in a crowd, and you and I, we've gone out to different venues, I like to watch people and how they interact and how they deal with people. And so I've learned a lot, especially from Roger and Joe. And eventually, yes, my long-term goal is to be a promoter of a dirt track. I don't care what dirt track it is. I don't care what sanction it is. I have been offered a position. Now, it wasn't this year in 2013, but I was offered a position. I won't go into which track it was. Actually, 2 positions, kind of. I had some drivers call me this year from a local track, and they were saying, well, Bud, why don't you put your name in? But right now, I'm 30. I'll be 39 in April. My long-term goal, 5 to 10 years, is to promote a dirt track. But if the deal is right, sure, I'd love to promote a dirt track. Everybody says, well, what you do at Joe's is not what they do at the dirt track. There's a lot of truth to that, but when you look at the big picture, how much difference is there with what I do at Joe's versus what Joe Koziski does at ID Speedway? Only difference is they run multiple class cars. I have 1 class. They're a dirt oval. I'm a road course. Joe's job, Roger Hayden's job, is to promote the track, get people to come to the track, spend their money at that track.
And get blamed for every driver that didn't finish on the pole.
Now, with that podium. With that being said, you were at the Racing with the Stars. What do you think my job there is? You see, I've got 67,000 unique one-off members at Joe's Karting.
Yeah.
Well, I had to promote Joe's Karting. I had to promote my butt off. There's nothing in Dan Taylor's life that mandates that you have to spend any money at Joe's. It's not a necessity of life. Mm-hmm. So if I can work with people and get them out there, I actually think with my 20 years dirt track experience, now look, people are not going to like me. A lot of people like me. I don't really care. I mean,
I think you do, though. You like to say you don't care what people think about you, but you do. It bothers people when people don't like them. And it just, I apologize if I'm speaking out of turn, but there was an incident at I-80 Speedway a couple of weeks ago, and you've had to resolve that, okay? Imagine being in Joe's shoes imagine being in the promoter's shoes when you've got a driver who, you've done your best to put on a show, and they freak out on you. You understand that it's pure emotions.
Well, yeah, and and that happens all the time over at Joe's Karting. Go, all this car, yada yada, and I just get called everything in the book. So I understand where Joe and Roger come from. Now, how I acted, I resolved that with the staff at I-80. I apologized for my actions. There's been the infamous Buddy Bush incident at Crawford County Speedway. I've talked to the officials up there. I had to publicly apologize on the PA that night. So I've got to, but I've always had the best interests of dirt in my heart.
Yeah.
And I've always looked at how the sport mods and the A mods and the late models and stuff like that. But yeah, I mean, I will tell you that the one offer that was on the table, for those that are listening, you never hear this number come out. $200 a week. $200 a week, I've got an answer to a board. $200 a week, I got to hire everybody, fire everybody, maintain the equipment, maintain and farm the track. I got to do cleanup.
Well, you're used to getting paid in peanuts anyways.
Well, that's not even peanuts. That's more sunflower seed size there.
Hey, there's nothing wrong with sunflower seeds. That's my crack.
Yeah. But with that being said, I'm not saying
you are considering.
I am considering it, not for $200 a week, but I'm not looking to make $1,000 a week either. Yeah. But it's got to be a right fit. Now, if somebody at that track at $200 a week, if you lived right there in town, it's not a big deal. But when I'm quite a far a ways away, then you get travel expenses and stuff like that. But that's all near there. The only thing is within 5 to 10 years, I would love to promote a track. I think we have some of the best drivers in dirt in the nation right here, and I want to be a part of that. And we have some really, really good young competition in all classes coming up. And after so many years of being in the sport or being around the sport, I want to see these guys flourish. And if I can be a part of that, to me, that's a reward in itself.
Any way you can help is what you want to do.
Any way I can help.
And to be honest with you, it's going to take that kind of passion, that love, because you got to put up with a lot of crap as a promoter. I mean, I've seen it firsthand, and I have no desire to do that.
I will honestly tell the drivers, and I'm just as guilty as a lot of them for my attitude and actions at times, many times actually. These promoters don't think they're just trying to make a buck off of you. I mean, because, hey, you like what you do in radio. Mm-hmm. I like what I do at Joe's Karting. But with that being said, you have to have a passion for what you do to be good at it. It's not like, a guy like Joe Koziski just wakes up one day and goes, oh, what the heck, let's just go race. He's got to have a passion for the sport, and it's that passion that drives him. So respect that passion. Show him some love. Show him some respect, and it'll make his job easier. Same thing with Roger Hayden and all of them.
Best thing you could do when you're unhappy with the promoter that night is to bite your tongue for a couple of days. Let it sit. I mean, I've had to do this several times with different situations. You got to let it sit for a little bit. And eventually you may go, wow, I was completely wrong.
I will tell you, I shouldn't have bit my tongue. I should have bit it off and swallowed it.
Yeah, you should. I got a real kick out of, every once in a while I get a little peek into your guys' side of the way they do things. Showed up to the Racing with the Stars last Sunday. I was sitting down by PJ as he was doing the PA announcing. And first race that comes off, guy finished dead last. I think he started like second or third, finished dead last. And he was a dirt racer, and I did not get a look at his face, and it wouldn't have mattered because I don't know any of these people. But, oh my God, that cart was a pile of junk, and get that cart out, this is crap, blah, blah, and Buddy doesn't care about anybody, he doesn't, blah, 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 going on and on and on. And I thought, wow, typical. He didn't win the race, so he was mad about a cart. So I go out there for my first race, and I got the exact same cart as him. What do I do when I walk out of there? Oh my God, that cart was a piece of junk. I couldn't turn that thing had no get up and go. I was complaining about that cart for the rest of the day. And me, Shaylee Bade, Nicole Peterson, and Ryan McPike all got that cart, and we sat there in a circle and bitched about you. And Nicole goes, why can't he fix this? I mean, that's so bad. The car had no get up and go, nothing off the corner. It's like, you got enough stuff to do. It's not like you can go and renovate all of these cars for one charity event. But It was funny because there definitely seemed to be two different types of carts that were going on that day. It was carts that were good through the corners and carts that was good during the big, what do you want to call it, the big loop.
Are you talking, and I'll be honest, was it cart 3?
Oh, that was a piece of crap cart.
See, I knew
I
it
was so mad at that cart because I was holding my own through all the hairpins. But as soon as I came through the final hairpin and started to accelerate through that straightaway on the front stretch.
You know what the problem was? Everybody was talking about how it handled. So we're looking at the steering. When people were coming out to get in cart 3,
if you tell me the brakes are locked up, I'm gonna flip.
The brakes were locked up.
That's exactly what I told the technician. I said, the brakes are locked up on this cart. I can't get it to go.
What happened is the brake cable that goes through the frame by the steering, there was a pinch point right there, and the brakes weren't even locked up. The cable got snagged, and it was the brakes were staying.
They were dragging.
They were dragging.
Yeah.
So we literally took a screwdriver in about 0.1 of a second, undid it.
Yeah.
And it was actually Sunday night after the Racing with the Stars. It set the track record that night.
Yeah. It was a great handling car through the corners.
Well, see, the number one thing we were told was the steering. The steering wasn't very good.
No, the steering was perfect.
And so we're looking at the steering going, well, there's nothing wrong with it. So it was kart 3, and then we got to looking, and my track marshal goes, oh, the brake cable's kinked.
I mentioned to them that when I came in through the hairpins and I would do that hard right-hand turn, that I would feel something grind. And so I thought it was the right front tire. But I said, it's got no get up and go. And so for the final event, you guys pulled it off the track and put out
if we didn't care, we wouldn't have pulled it off the track.
But the thing, my point is that I was mad because I put up 17-second laps with that kart. I went out in the 24, I put up that 15-second lap. So it was just
it the fact that you put up the 15-second lap, or was it the fact that we turned the throttle up for you so you go faster?
A little of both. I appreciate that.
We got to get the fat boy around the track.
Yeah. It takes a lot to get me going. So, but that was a great time. And I thought it was really funny because I was sitting at home that night after I got back from my niece's birthday party, and I'm sitting there kind of going through the day's events, and I remember that driver coming off the cart, and he was just, he's just so mad, and the crap, and this horrible, about just cussing everything out. And I'm thinking, what a jerk. You're at a charity, what a jerk. Yeah. And then I went and did the same thing. I wasn't as loud and as vulgar, but I was complaining about the condition of the cart just as he was.
I tell you, the funniest driver at the Racing with the Stars was Red Munson, Big Red Munson.
I finally got to talk to him.
The driver of the number 2 car.
And let me tell you, Racing with the Stars next year, Racer Ricky Steffen, if you come anywhere close to my front bumper, I'm going to spin your ass. That little jerk, that I got to censor myself because we can't say certain words, but that guy, oh man.
He's getting a chrome horn.
Oh, I'm going to take him out next year. I will make Nicole Peterson look like a powder puff of what I'm going to do to Racer Ricky Steffen. And I'm going to talk to him at Crawford County next year because it was crap what he did to me.
Well, back to it with Big Red. Big Red, he's a big boy.
Yeah, he is.
That's why he's called Big Red.
Right.
So in that crowd, he stands head and shoulders above everybody.
Yeah.
So he comes up to me and goes, "Bud, I'm a pretty big dude. Do you have a fast kart for a big dude like me?" Well, the Racing with the Stars, we don't want to let you just cherry pick whatever kart you want, and we're not just going to say, okay, well, that guy's going to.
Yeah.
But Big Red, he was running slow enough lap times. We knew for a fact that he wasn't going to make the feature, and he actually spent quite a bit of money with us that day, and he was just as laid back. He's a really nice guy.
Yeah.
So I went up and I was like, all right, go give him this kart. Go give him this kart.
Did you give him the 2-seater?
No, we were saving the 2-seater for your big old butt. But we let Big Red take the cart that he wanted, and he got off that cart, and he was like a little 5-year-old stuck in a candy shop.
It's so much fun. And you really do get a peek into what you guys go through on a weekly basis. When you've got a good hooked up cart that moves and you feel good, it's so much fun.
So
but when you get a car like cart number 3, it was so frustrating to hit the throttle. I didn't even come off the throttle, by the way. In that 3 kart, in the 2 races, I never lifted. I just kind of tailed the brakes a little bit, which I apologize. I know you curse people because that hurts the karts when they do that. But otherwise, I would have gotten lapped 3 times. But to pull off, and I was going through that straightaway and then through the big wide curve, and they're hauling by me like I'm
parked.
It's ridiculous. Yeah. And I was just like, this is ridiculous.
I do want to go back to the comment you just made, though. You get a glimpse into our mentality when you're out there racing with those guys. With that being said, what is the difference? Because you've raced out there with just normal customers, and now you've gone out there and you've raced against the actual dirt. And it's not like you were out there a couple times with
jackasses like Ricky that freaking guy knows how to push you out of the way. That's the difference, is that regular people won't do that to you, but the racer Ricky Steffen can't wait a lap to get around a guy, so he pushes him out of the way.
What, did he push you, or did he give you a bump and run move?
No, he gave the coming through the big oval.
The right-hand sweeper?
Right when you need to start braking, he never let off the brakes, and he just got on my bumper and pushed me into the wall.
He did a bump and run.
I'd call it a push and run. Because he didn't hit me. He got up on my bumper and then accelerated and kept pushing me through the corner, so I couldn't get the cart to turn.
But he didn't put you in the wall, so that's a bump and run.
That's because I'm that good of a driver.
Running 18-second lap times.
In a crappy cart. All right, we've argued about it enough. We'll be back in turn 4.
This week's Legend of Tomorrow on the front stretch is Brady Weinman, driver of the number 22W Hobby Stock in north central Nebraska and Colorado. Brady just finished his second year behind the wheel of a Hobby Stock and has loved every second of it. This year, he finished 5th in points at Lincoln County Raceway and McCook Speedway by claiming 5 heat wins, 4 feature wins, and 13 top 5 finishes. Brady hopes to step up to a B mod and eventually an A mod when he is ready. But the most important thing for Brady is to keep having fun while racing. Brady wants to send out a big thank you to his family and sponsors for their support, and a special thanks to Anthony Martin for all the tips that he gives Brady before he hits the track. Keep your eye out for Brady Weinman in the 22W. Brady is this week's Legend of Tomorrow on the front stretch.
We have all been there before. Broken car part in your hand and some snot-nosed punk behind the counter has no idea what he's talking about, but he guarantees that this part will fix your car. You pay an arm and a leg for the replacement, get it home, and sure enough, it doesn't fit your car. Now, learn from your mistake and give an experienced salesperson at Kosiski Auto Parts a call today at 402-731-4592. Kosiski Auto Parts will get you back on the road with your arms and legs still attached.
Get ready for the victory lap as we make our way into turn 4 on the front stretch. Presented by Joe's Karting. Online at joeskarting.com.
This is Ross Chastain, driver of the Brad Keselowski Racing Ford F-150. You're listening to the front stretch.
Just about ready to wrap this baby up. Heading into turn 4. Brought to you by Quaker Steak and Lube in Council Bluffs. What is the next race? Phoenix.
You know what? You know what we need for the show? We're going into turn 4. We're about ready to wrap this baby up. It's too bad we didn't have an actual a sound clip where it's like zing, 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 zing. Okay, we're wrapping it up. Are we getting ready to go across?
Well, we do have the sound effects in the openers. Those sound effects are in the opening liners when we come back from break. If you would listen to the show once in a while, you would hear that. The Advocare
I don't need to hear any more of your voice.
The Advocare 500 at Phoenix International Raceway. 43 drivers registered and made the starting grid for today, including Cole Witt. Hill? Dang it, I can't remember the kid's name. And then AJ Allmendinger and Reed Sorensen are all in the race. For the Advocare 500, all the action on the big screens at Quaker Steak and Lube today. Let's see, green flag goes in the air at 1 p.m. That's about the time the racing will start. So get down to Quaker Steak and Lube today for all your NASCAR action and sit down in the Brickyard. It's a great place to sit down and get some wings, and you can even come buy me a beer. They had one of those 32-ounce giant mugs. I downed a couple of those of Oktoberfest.
Are you serious?
It was a rough night. It was a rough night. Yeah.
64 ounces of Oktoberfest?
Oh, it was so good. It was so good.
I'm thinking you were so drunk.
That was about 4,000 calories, though.
Good God.
Hey, today's race will mark the 1,000th start for Jeff Burton in the 31 machine. He'll make his 1,000th NASCAR start when the Sprint Cup Series takes the green flag today for the, like I said, Advocare 400.
Now,
500.
Now, to clarify that's 689 Sprint Cup Series starts with 306 starts in the Nationwide Series and 4 starts in the NASCAR Camping World Truck Series.
He's only had 4 in the Camping World Truck Series?
Yep.
You really got to wonder where he's going to go after this year. Is he going to continue to be in the Sprint Cup Series? Is he going to retire? You know, what's going to go on? And then he's got his son, Jeb. I've heard things about Jeb tracking down a ride a little. Well, you know me. I'm always thinking drivers are a little premature, but Jeb's doing very well for himself down in the Truck Series. Maybe he can make his way up into the full time up into the Nationwide Series.
I was going to say, I was hoping you weren't going to be saying Sprint Nextel Cup because I was thinking Jeb
Sprint Nextel. What is this? 2009? 2007?
That's edited.
Jesus. What's the matter with you?
That's like going, well, my Ford Chevy Trans Am.
It's almost as bad as not knowing what Jeff Burton's going to do next year. Come on.
Yeah, but anyways, yeah, I can see Jeb going from the trucks to Nationwide, but not from trucks to Cup. I think he's all right. He's got some more maturity, and I think there's a few things that he can work on, but he'll be a competitive driver by the time he reaches Cup.
I had a very good conversation with PJ and all the guys we at the Racing with the Stars about the future of NASCAR. We just kind of all sat around and had this big long conversation about it, and
is this before or after complaining about Kart 3?
I think it was during.
Okay.
During, because I complained about that pretty much all day long. And anyways. We talked about the future of NASCAR and how I think that with the drivers that we have coming up, it's incredibly stacked. There are some awesome drivers down in Truck Series that are just pining to come up. And then there's nationwide drivers. Here's the biggest problem is that please don't take this the wrong way, but there's drivers like Jeff Gordon and Mark Martin, who obviously Mark's retiring at the end of the year, but these drivers aren't at the peak of their career anymore. I think it's safe to say that Jeff's on the downward slope of it all. He's close to retirement. But then there's guys like Chase Elliott or Jeb Burton or James Buescher, Kyle Larson. These guys that are ready for the next level, but they don't have enough rides. So there's going to be that incredibly difficult decision of, well, who decides who gets a ride or not, Well,
think about this. You like college football?
Oh, yeah.
So who would be a faster, better quarterback, you or Taylor Martinez?
Oh, me.
Yeah, whatever. Yeah, Taylor Martinez, you're 10 years older than Taylor Martinez.
Well, but that's not the question.
No,
the question is...
No, hold on. Let me finish.
Well, I think you're taking it wrong, though.
No, this is a good point. You are right. The field is incredibly stacked as you look at the talent. But I'm going back to when I started watching NASCAR in the late 80s and really watching it, from the very early 90s, when you had your Jeff Burtons and your Jeff Gordons and your Darrell Waltrips and your Dale Earnhardt seniors coming into the sport. Dale Earnhardt Sr., when he came into the sport, he wasn't a bright-eyed, bushy-tailed 17-year-old kid or an 18-year-old kid. We have these really young kids now. Their reflexes are faster. They can think on their feet. I think they are more hungry for the win. They're more out to make a name for themselves. Not that Darrell Waltrip and Dale Sr. didn't want to make a name, because Darrell, of all people, want to make a name for himself. He wasn't as young as a Kyle Larson. He wasn't as young as a Jeb Burton. He wasn't. We have younger drivers coming up, and look at the dirt tracks.
Well, what are you trying to say? I asked you a question of when does the conversation be had that Jeff Gordon doesn't deserve that ride anymore, and somebody like a Chase Elliott does decide it.
If I could put a more aggressive, younger driver, quicker driver with their reflexes, I'll replace my older, retiring driver that much quicker.
Okay. That's what I was asking.
That's what I was trying to tell you.
I don't know where you were going with that. Let's bring in baseball. Man, you were out in left field on that answer.
Well, you're dumb enough to complain about Kart 3. So
everybody complained about Kart 3 because it had a
always be an
cable.
Inside joke with us on the show.
It won't be inside because we told everybody about it. But no, I think the Truck Series and the Nationwide Series, I think they're incredibly stacked. I think there's a lot of drivers that they're just waiting their 1 or 2 years to get their experience. And I think there's going to be a real changing of the guard. Jimmy Johnson, as long as he keeps winning championships, he's completely secured. But at some point in time, Mr. Hendrick has to start thinking about, who am I going to set down in that 48 next? Because that's a big shoe to fill. I mean, could you compare a bigger shoe to fill than what Kevin Harvick did for Richard Childress in the 3? I mean, that's about the biggest I could compare it to. No, I don't think anybody else has sat down in a car like that somebody's going to have to fill in for that 48, and Lowe's is going to have high expectations.
Well, it's kind of funny you talk about Harvick filling those shoes for RCR. I actually think Junior automatically had to fill those big shoes with the Earnhardt name after Earnhardt Sr.'s death. Harvick stepped into that car, Earnhardt Sr.'s car, and he had to fill those shoes. But I think he also had to share the same pair of shoes with Junior because everybody wanted Junior.
No, everyone gave it the guys dealing with the loss of his dad. I think they gave him a bit of a pass, and for several years. Rightfully so. Rightfully so. Right. That was a hard thing to do. I mean, I don't think I could ever compare it to anything like that, to where you had to deal with the death, the loss of your father, doing what you do every day, and then next Sunday you had to go and do it again.
Right.
Just a few days after burying him. So, it's this is a sport that, as we approach the end of yet another, what I think is going to be an incredibly successful season. I think the Gen 6 was hands above what I expected it to be. I was very tempered on my expectations for this car.
I love the car.
And I think it's done phenomenal. And there's still been 5 or 6 races that were snoozers. That you're going to get that in a 36 race season.
Yeah.
You can't get rid of that. But I think I'm very well on my way to giving this Gen 6 an A-. And then the modifications they're going to make in the offseason to try to pull the field closer in a mile and a half and make it a little bit more competitive is what's going to make it an A-plus car for me. We got a few minutes left in the show. You guys are needing some volunteers to wrap presents. I saw December 14th.
Yeah, December 14th over at Joe's Karting. Of course, we've been talking about it all show, the Racing with the Stars. December 14th is the actual hospital visit.
Okay.
Now, what we do there is on that day, about 10 o'clock in the morning, we all have we're needing T-shirts, toys, cash.
Sticker decals is the biggest thing.
Sticker decals, those are huge. The racing shirts are huge. Anything donated to go into the gift boxes. We're going to have 40 NICU babies, so we do, nice, cute little gift bags for them. But then we have 60 bigger boxes that we go to the hospital. So each box has to have pretty much, everything in it. So like Ari Schouten's family, driver of the 99 RE, the Schouten family are doing lap blankets. 60 of those to put them in the boxes, so these kids that are may have cancer or some other ailment, if they're chilly, they can put down a lap blanket and stay warm.
Yeah.
So they're doing stuff like that. But that day at Joe's, we'll have everything laid out. Drivers, girlfriends, you're more than welcome to come over, help hang out. It's a fun time.
It really is. I had a good time. And this is the dumbest thing. Once again, I'm going to bring up the dumbest thing, but I actually learned how to wrap a present at the wrapping event for the Holiday Horsepower last year.
I'm not laughing. Every year, everybody learns how to wrap Christmas gifts.
My nieces and nephews, every year, they would get duct-taped boxes. I didn't know how to wrap a present, and I wasn't going to sit there and take the time, so I just wrap it a couple of times in a roll of duct tape and hand it over to them, and I pull out my pocket knife and cut it open, and then, that was a fun thing. And now they get wrapped presents, so thank you for that.
Yep.
They appreciate it.
But you know what also happens is it turns into a speed wrapping contest.
It does. We had a lot of fun.
No.
I think the guys beat the girls last year. That was great.
And that one present of many colors that I did. I mean, it was
that was a Frankenstein of presents. Holy cow. Get a hold of Buddy at BuddyJ@joeskarting.com, BuddyJ@joeskarting.com, and then get over to Joe's Karting. If you're missing all this conversation we're talking about with how much fun it is to go race at Joe's Karting.
There's so much to Joe's. There's so much to the Holiday Horsepower Drive. There's so much that we can't cover really in 1 hour.
It's a ball to go down to Joe's on 23rd Ave in Council Bluffs, across the street from the IMAX AMC 17 theaters. The casinos are down
you
there.
You can't miss it. We got
Steak and Lube, Ruby Tuesdays, the Mid-American Center. It's all in that one business area.
We have a 22-foot wide green-legged spider hanging from the ceiling.
That was cool. By the way, are you guys going to put a dirt track in back yet?
No.
Come on.
No.
Do it.
No.
To heck with going and promoting another track. Build your own.
I would love to.
Do it.
You got millions?
I got 300 less now. All the action for the Advocare 500 on the big screens at Quaker Steak and Lube in Council Bluffs. Thank you so much to Quaker Steak and Lube for supporting us on the front stretch as we babble about NASCAR. And thank you to all of you that support us each and every week by listening to the show, calling in with your information, and emailing what you like and what you don't like about the show. We always do appreciate it. We'll do it again next weekend as we break down all the action from Phoenix and we preview the final race in the 2013 Chase for the Sprint Cup. This is the front stretch. For Buddy Ray, I'm Dan Taylor. Have a great day.
In 1999, Wade Cross decided he was tired of overpaying for shocks, so he created FX Shocks. Now FX suspension customers reach across the United States with countless wins and championships, including national champion in 3 major IMCA classes, plus Super Nationals champions in all 4 of the Saturday night's main events. Get your FX Shocks today. One-on-one consultation is waiting for you at 308-383-9609, 308-383.
Are you ready for fast-paced, adrenaline-pumping, wheel-to-wheel racing right here in the Metro? Get to Joe's Karting in Council Bluffs and see what it's like to race real go-karts. Joe's Karting knows it's no fun to race go-karts at 10 miles per hour, so they ripped the governors out, and now the only restriction is how good you are at racing. It's full-throttle, white-knuckle racing every day of the week. Head over to joeskarting.com for hours, prices, and specials, or give Buddy a call today and set up your group races at 712-256-5278.